Okay, second video of the day. This is just an inking video. I'm going after finally getting on to page 9. I wonder if I've made it too dark in here. It shows up good on the video. Alright, what's the first rule of Joe Prado? First rule is to ink whatever is closest to the camera. That means these, if I zoom out a little bit, these two figures that are kind of on the extreme left and right. And I use that brush. I'm going to leave panels up above and beyond. Let's put it right here. I've only got about 20 minutes to do it because I'm going to have a buzzer go off. So we're going to ink for about 20 minutes. And we'll reassess. With our closest ones, we're kind of establishing that we can use thicker line weights. And I wonder if that ear is too close. That's wrong. This is the one. Okay, let's do it. We're going to move this ear. How about that? Peter, what are you doing? What are you doing? Well, my excuse is that I'm not really a pro, man. I'm a Joe, not a pro. A working class Joe. Like, we can get really... I wouldn't call it extreme, but we can get kind of, you know, considering that this is about actual size at the zoom level I've got it now, it doesn't look bad to have a line weight that thick. When I zoom in, it looks a little bit uncomfortable. I'm like, oh, maybe it's a little bit too thick, but it's not really. It's not really. Of course, if they're close, you can get more details in. Rabbit Fighter is not meant to be photorealistic. It's supposed to match the sort of the cartooniness of Rabbit himself with the more realistic environment. And at this point, I've got him teamed up with Gallows, which I've had that going on for a while. So, you know who could really pull that off back in the day? Was Milt Caniff. Like with Terry and the Pirates or Steve Canyon or whatever. You would have Steve Canyon, or you'd have, you know, whoever the main characters were, the Dragon Lady, and they would look kind of really realistic. But then you'd have like the cartoon reality of, I can't remember the name of the character, but he was like a corporal or something that would hang out with Terry every once in a while or whatever. And that character could look, you know, cartoony, like Elmer Fudd almost, you know, if you wanted it to. And I saw this described in a book, I think, as cartoon reality. Milt Caniff's cartoon reality. Caniff? I'm quite a fan. I also liked his replacement. So, like, back in the day, you know, we act like this is a new phenomenon. When something new comes along, I'll give this example, and then I'll immediately retract it, of let's say the new Doctor Who. It's tradition to be a little uncomfortable with what they're going to do with it, how it's going to go. And when George Wanda came along and replaced Milt Caniff on Terry and the Pirates, that was a massive controversy. And the thing is, it's very unfair because George Wanda is actually really good. like he was really good. Now, let's retract this immediately and say that Doctor Who is not good anymore. It's just not good. But I'm talking about, but even the previous Doctors, it was always a controversy. Nothing could replace Tom Baker. I think everybody agrees. And then suddenly you had Peter Davison replacing him. And I think he did a great job. He brought a sort of dignity to that role. And then when he dies in one of the greatest episodes ever, Caves of Androzani, and regenerates, he was replaced with Colin Baker, who was also controversial. But Colin Baker was terrible in that role, in my opinion. He was awful. He had the really stupid outfit. The really colorful one. I think that's when they really lost the plot, was Colin Baker. Now I'm gonna. Colin Baker later on did redeem himself, and I'll tell you for how he did it. Right around the time they were doing sort of that retrospective, and they had I guess Matt Smith was the Doctor at the time, or maybe he was about to stop being the Doctor, and they did a bunch of like specials. And one of the specials, it had like all of the former Doctors that were still around. So it had, although it didn't have Tom Baker, who is, by the way, still around. It had Peter Davison in it. It had Colin Baker in it. It had a lot of jokes about Sylvester McCoy. I think Sylvester McCoy might have been in it for a second. The jokes about Sylvester McCoy is like, he's a big shot now because he was in The Hobbit as Radagast. And Colin Baker in that special is hilarious. And of course there's the legacy that's going on with, Peter Davison's daughter is married to David Tennant, so it's like and from an episode called The Doctor's Daughter is an episode that she actually appeared in as an actress first. So it's almost like he actually did marry the Doctor's daughter. It's quite funny, actually. Even David Tennant was controversial when he came out, and I would say that David Tennant is probably, and he's not even my favorite of the modern Doctors. I would say he's the best of the modern ones, and he was controversial when he replaced Christopher Eccleston. It was a big controversy, and you get over it, and you're allowed to say, I'm not sure how this is going to go. This is going to be terrible now. I think that's part of the grand tradition of Doctor Who, is to be skeptical of who they're going to replace the actor with. And then, of course, they blew that out of the water with, first of all, picking somebody who was completely unsuited. And not to mention the female Doctor, which I know it's sexist. You don't think a woman could be the Doctor? No, I understand what the appeal of the Doctor is, though. The appeal of the Doctor is boys watch Doctor Who, and they fantasize about being the Doctor. They want to be an adventurer who laughs in the face of danger and has kind of a funny sense of humor and is a little bit quirky. That is the core audience for the boys. And then I'm going to tell you, for the ladies, and I know this because when I was at the help desk, I had a lot of these ladies that worked for me. They kind of fantasize about the Doctor, right? So it's in fact, there was one lady that actually had like a custom license plate on her car that was like, I think it was Time Lady, or I think that might have been her custom license plate, and her email address was the Doctor's Time Lady. Not that she was replacing, but that she was with the Doctor, right? I mean, they're not above also wanting to be a Time Lord, and we had the excellent example of River Song, who, why didn't they use River Song? Maybe she just didn't want to do it, but she's great. Why would they pick the person from Broadchurch? It's such a depressing, drama about a child that's murdered and molested. I mean, it's terrible. And that's the one they picked. And not only that, there's another actress in Broadchurch who's Olivia Colman. Olivia Colman was in Peep Show, and she's one of the funniest people. They could have picked her. I keep complaining about this. Why didn't they pick Olivia Colman if they had to pick somebody from that god-awful show? And for her, Broadchurch was like, it's like one of those roles where how they used to take Robin Williams, and he's an off-the-wall zany comedian, but they'd put him in a serious role and he would just kill it, like in Good Will Hunting or in 1 Hour Photo. He would take all of that energy he has as a zany off-the-wall guy, and he would turn it into, like, it would go inward, and you would get something really kind of interesting. Well, that was what I felt like Olivia Colman was kind of doing with Broadchurch. By far, the most interesting character on the show was her. By far. How did I get on this topic? Oh, we were just talking about cartoon reality. All right, I'm gonna pull the background off for a moment. Yeah, okay. Looks like we're getting somewhere. It's important to have nice, smooth outlines, good textures. If you got your nice, like you've established your line weight this close to the camera, or close to the view of the viewer, then you can kind of go in with a thinner line weight and come up with textures. And these guys are all these modeled, zombies, the gamma zombies. Oops. So you have all kinds of things that you can do there. So anyways, and people would disagree with me. They go, "Oh, Peter, you don't know anything about the appeal of Doctor Who to the young people." It's totally true. But I do know that they blew up that entire segment of their audience, and that was a massive segment. Guys, I was on LiveJournal in the 90s and in the mid-2000s and early 2000s, and I was on all of the Doctor Who fan sites and fan subs, and that's the two groups. I can just tell you. There's the ones like me who are there for nostalgia and because we like crazy adventure shows and science fiction. And then you have the kind of, really, really fetished up on it. It's the same kind of, these are the same ladies, by the way. And tell me if you noticed this. Remember when Harry Potter was really huge? It was a long time ago, practically decades ago.
You want me to ruin your
There were women on LiveJournal, though, who would fantasize about Snape, Alan Rickman. Now, Snape is not a character that pulls himself off well in either the movies or the books. But the fact that it was Alan Rickman...
You really shouldn't be
I do understand it. And the fact that it was Alan Rickman was really interesting to these ladies, and you would see it on LiveJournal. And you would see it in the fan art. I saw a lot of fan art. And like I can even tell you, like back in the day, I was there was this drawing thing called Oikaki, which is like a Java applet that you could get on a website, and you would just go and draw on it. And if you worked all night like I did, I had this sort of night job where I was managing backup tapes. So there was just hours that you just had to kill. So you would bring up the Oikaki applet on the web, and it's like this Japanese thing. But there were fan art ones, and there was fan art ones for Lord of the Rings. Now, can you guess who was the character from Lord of the Rings that that got all of the fan art back in the day? I can just tell you, it's not one you would expect. It was Wormtongue, right? It was Wormtongue, and there was all kinds of these ladies that would just draw, you know, fantasies of themselves or their OC, their original character, with Wormtongue. Do you remember who Wormtongue is in the Lord of the Rings movies? You know, he's one of the bad guys. He's not a particularly good-looking bad guy, I think, but the actor was very compelling. And you know, it wasn't Saruman, it wasn't Peter Cushing. You didn't have these ladies were not interested in Peter Cushing as Saruman. So it wasn't about evil. Like, I just want to get the most evil guy. There was definitely this appeal that was part of it. You know, it wasn't Gollum. They weren't into Gollum, Andy Serkis. The only thing that rivaled the Wormtongues was, and this is just because people are just degenerate, is there would be like these ladies that would be drawing like, it was always gay stuff between Sam and Frodo. like that was like 80% of all Lord of the Rings fan art drawn by women is that plus Wormtongue. The hetero stuff was all Wormtongue plus an avatar for themselves usually. All right, I think we're gonna almost get these foreground figures ready before my timer goes off. What did I just do there? What did I do? I'm on the right. Am I on the right? Oh, I'm on the right. Okay. I don't know where this comes from. Does it come from there? It comes from my panels. Okay, so I gotta erase that. Gotta get into the inky. For some reason, that was on the panels layer. For my intents and purposes of trying to keep my layers straight, because I use a system of making the entire layer opaque or non-opaque, I very rarely have the problem where I draw on the wrong layer and then it's like non-recoverable or complicated to recover. It's you know, because they're all at different layers of opacity, you can tell immediately, you know, if it's black, you're on the right layer. And then if it's not, you just can cut and paste it from the wrong layer to the right layer. And then you bring it back to, and then you bring the entire layer back into opacity that way. I highly recommend you follow my lead on this. It's just a sane way to do it. I know there are better ways to do these you know, comics on, oh yeah, on electronic media. There's a variety of ways to do it, and of course the main way right now is Clip Studio Pro, which is former Manga Studio Pro or whatever it was. And there are some real gunslingers out there. You got to watch out. That have been doing it for a while, and they're just really good. And you may not love their source material or their style, but man, do they know that program. I suck at that program. I have it. Actually have it on this iPad. Where is it? Clip Studio Pro. It's in here somewhere. Does anyone see it? There it is right there. Clip Studio Pro. Do I know how to use it? No. I mean, the instructions are as close as YouTube. I could probably go out and search on YouTube and figure out how it works. And it does seem to be like a bit of an industry standard. However, I'm in a weird place because I really like working digitally, vice traditionally, but I like traditionally too, and so halfway in between for me is Procreate. I'm not doing anything. You don't see me setting up anything special with Procreate. It's sort of like, other than layers themselves, I've got an ink layer and panels layer. I've seen people do some amazing things, but they have these tremendously complex setups, and they're using the rulers and they're just doing stuff. I don't know if I should have his thumbs touching like that. That might be a little weird. All right, there's my buzzer. There's the buzz. All right, I'm gonna go check. What's up. All right, let's do this. Let me zoom in a little bit like that. How about that? What I'd like you to do is like, follow, and subscribe. I'm going to continue inking this. It's going to take me, I would think, about 2 days. So today is Wednesday, and so I'm going to be inking today. I'm going to do some inking tomorrow, and you'll be able to follow along with what I am doing with Rabbit Fighter, and then we'll get into our main subject area very soon. All right. See you later.